Hey everybody, it's Chris Jesty. I'm coming in with the first video 2024, and I'm going to get right into it. This is going to be a recap of my first round of Tukkayid in the New Year, which is the first event for the MRC in January. And I'm just going to go ahead and pull it up and get right into it. No lollygagging, if I can find it. So this is round one, and my first match was against Whitworth, who I think is a newer player to the MRC. I don't think I've seen him around too often, but he played this match pretty well. So look out for good things from him in the, going forward and in the upcoming rounds. If you're playing against him as a clan player, watch out. So week one is soft landing, as we can see here. Basically, it's going to be cut off the head to an extent, where we get 1 point for defeating the enemy commander right here, and we get 1 more point if we destroy at least 75% of in battle value. The setup is a little interesting, and I'm going to go ahead and pull the video back up. Now we can get a lay of the land here on the map. So both players are set to deploy any, which means we can both deploy anywhere on the map, sort of. The inner sphere player has to be 3 hexes minimum from any board edge, not including Princess, who can kind of do whatever she wants. But other than that, they can deploy wherever they want. The clan player has to deploy 6 hexes from any board edge, or at least that's the way I read it. If it's a board edge, then whoops, I read that wrong. But that being the case, you also have to deploy your units 6 hexes apart from each of your other units. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just each unit has to be 6. There's supposed to be 6 hexes apart. I did mess up on deployment. I was looking at his mechanized track platoon to see what it looked like and checking the stats, and I accidentally deployed my elementals here in the same hex, which is not ideal for me. I would much prefer to be at least 3 hexes up so I can get closer to his bigger units over here. But we'll get into that in a minute. So just looking at the deployment as a whole, it is cut off the head. My commander is the Stooping Hawk, which I decided to drop right in the middle of the mix, which, looking back at it in hindsight, was probably not the best idea, because I'm right next to 3 of his big units and within jump range of that Phoenix Hawk. His commander is the Scout, which is going to be jumping for 8 every turn, and I tried to place my Dragonfly as close to it as possible. I mean, I guess I could have gone right here or right here, but I didn't want to be in that mud, and I didn't want to be I figured starting out in the forest wouldn't be too bad. So I placed it here, so its job is to just chase this Scout every turn and hound it, eventually wearing it down just through sheer weight of fire, or weight of numbers going its way. The Peregrine I deployed over here because I kind of ran out of room to deploy it anywhere else. I could have deployed it over here, but there's not really any cover, and there's a bunch of depth 1 over here. This is a bad spot of the map to be in. This isn't that bad of a spot of the map to be in, but this general area with all this depth 1 is no bueno, with 0 cover for the most part. Just one little forest right here, a bunch of mud, not where you want to be, as a rule of thumb. So I mentioned when I went over the package and I looked at the maps originally, as the inner sphere player, more than likely the way to go would be to ball up at one of these corners, because you don't have any restrictions preventing you from doing so. And the inner sphere player would have the advantage because you would have all your units together, and the clan player would have to start spread out and then converge on you while you're in your little death ball. And Whitworth decided to not go that route. He put his Awesome right in the middle of the map on this level 2 elevation, the Black Knight and Thunderhawk in sniper positions that can see pretty much the whole map. The Black Knight has some large pulse lasers. It's the Royal variant, so it's got double heat sinks and stuff. It's a solid Black Knight. This Thunderhawk is basically a Gosszilla. It's got 3 Gauss rifles, a couple of medium lasers, and it's just a sniper. The Awesome is, an awesome 8Q. Everybody knows what it is. It's 3 to 4 PPCs every turn. He's also got a Celerity, which is, I want to say, the weakest or least useful portion of this list. Maybe if he put the Celerity as his commander and just ran it around for like 20 hexes every turn, or however fast this thing runs, and duck down behind level 1 to block line of sight, that would have been a better use of it. But it's a 0-1 pilot, same thing with the Oscout, so it's not that cheap. I don't know how much this thing costs battle value wise, but when I look it up later, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna say it's not worth the numbers he spent on it. With that being said, this is our deployment. There was some oopses throughout this match on both ends. So one of those is that elemental right there. I think the other one was this elemental right here. He should have been up 1 hex or something. Not too game breaking of a deal here. But since we are able to deploy directly wherever we want, it doesn't say that there's any restriction on deploying right on top of your opponent. So I dropped the elementals right on that the flamer elementals, because PPCs generate a good bit of heat. So we're going to go ahead and get into the match. I'm just going to give my thoughts on the game round by round as I skip through these, replaying the footage. So he scooches the awesome up. I move my elementals closer to his big boys over here so they can actually get into the fight and start targeting important units. He jumps the Oscout for 8 in between the Peregrine and the Stooping Hawk, which I think was not the best place to be. If anything, he should be jumping into the middle and then out of the middle. That way he'll have good ranges on all of his assault mechs on anything I send after it, if he's going to position like this anyway. And yeah, I just moved my Peregrine, and we double check the objectives here. I moved my Peregrine and the Stooping Hawk to get into melee range with it and just pour as much fire as I can onto this thing, because this is the primary objective. I jumped the Dragonfly up to the rear of the awesome, throw some heat on it because it's the sea, and I was along with the Flamer Elementals just to get this guy nice and toasty. He runs a Celerity to the rear of the Ryukin and charges it, which is not the move I would have gone for. I think I'm on level 2 here. If he would have gone straight on and pushed me back off the cliff, it would have done more damage. And this is it. This is all the Celerity does the whole game, other than Sync Initiative for a couple turns after it, because it's enforced withdrawal after losing 2 legs on a charge. So there's some fire going on, not too much to write home about other than my Dragonfly losing its left arm, which I think is the one with the 2 ER medium lasers. So there goes the majority of my firepower. Here's the charge for the Celerity, and it's immediately enforced withdrawal after this charge. It needs a -2 because it's got a 0 skill, which I think is a bit overkill. The Ryukin does fall, takes some damage. Stooping Hawk takes enough damage to from a kick to get or miss the kick to take a PSR. Sorry. And that's pretty much it for turn 1. Not too much to write home about. The Thunderhawk and Black Knight are sitting up here on the perch. The Stooping Hawk chased the Oscout a little bit. The Peregrine went in for a kick to do a little bit of damage. I did go internal on the Oscout's rear left torso, I think. Nothing too special, no crits. He's coming out on top for sure early, losing an arm on the Viper from it was a crit, a 3 armor crit that blew the arm off, by the way. Not ideal, but the Celerity is pretty much almost immediately enforced withdrawal, or at least not. If not this turn, then the next turn. I think I kick it or something, and that's it. It does nothing other than sit there for like 4 or 5 turns. So here we go. I jump the Dragonfly away so I can, get a TMM and get out of this frying pan. I just lost an arm. I scooch the Flamers over here because he jumped the Oscout over here. So now I've got decent shots with my Elementals on it because they don't suffer movement penalties. And they're having line of sight blocked from the Awesome in this direction. So I figured I'd get maybe some damage onto the Oscout. I jumped the Stooping Hawk out of harm's way, following the Phoenix Hawk a little bit. Jumped the Peregrine over here to chase the Oscout because, like I said before, this is the objective, kill the Oscout. The The Stormcrow, I reposition a little, get him to stand up, pull him back off that little hill. So that way maybe next turn after the celerity is dead or whatever, I can get back into my little sniper perch with cover. I throw some fire at the Thunderhawk, and I light up the Awesome again with the Ryukin, pretty much doing a full alpha strike every turn. It's got the heat sinks to do it. My Peregrine gets pretty wrecked here. He takes 2 Gauss rifle rounds, and he's not looking good. The celerity goes into force withdrawal this turn. The Awesome sits there soaking damage, gets a couple of crits, but it's still effective for the most part. Lose the hip on the Peregrine, so the Peregrine's not in good shape. Already in force withdrawal, but because of the clan honor rule, we don't have to move toward our board edge because it's honorable to die in combat as a clanner, as we all know. So we go into melee, I think this is. Yeah, this is physical attacks. Not really much happens here. Elementals jump in so I can start shooting up these Thunderhawks and the Black Knight. And then these elementals, I'm pretty sure I theorize possibly DFAing the Awesome into the mud. I'm not sure what the mud will do, but I'm assuming it's going to make it so it's basically stuck or have a penalty on PSRs. Either way, I'm assuming mud is bad to be in. So he moves the celerity 1 hex. I get my Ryukin back in his little sniper perch. At this point, I move the elementals up so I can get more heat on this Awesome. He's taken quite a bit of damage, but he's not down by a long shot. Yeah, I contemplate the DFA again and think better of it, for at least for now. So scooch the Stooping Hawk over, kind of chase the Oscout and the Phoenix Hawk. The Dragonfly immediately jumps to melee range of the Oscout. Granted, I'm on level 2, so I can't melee the Oscout, but I do get to fire all of my weapons at it for another chance of damage. Because this thing's got paper thin armor. Eventually, these machine guns and flamers on this Dragonfly that are still left will get through if I just hound him every turn. And now that I'm within 1 hex of him, I've got him. He can't jump anywhere that I can't touch him because we're basically touching now. The only way he can get away from me is if I move my Dragonfly before he moves his Oscout, which I don't think I do unless I find an opportunity with the Dragonfly, which I might later on. So now we just get the elementals in, start unloading onto this Thunderhawk because those Gauss rifles are very deadly and dangerous. The Black Knight doesn't have any ammo. Thunderhawk has Gauss rifles that can blow up. So that's why we're prioritizing the Thunderhawk with the elementals and their SRMs. Chance to actually crit something that goes boom. Elementals and the Peregrine unload into the Awesome because just the Peregrine still has a good portion of its weapons intact. I think it's just lost a torso, and it's got a standard engine, so it's still half functional. The Ryukin gets headshot on round 3, which is a devastating blow for me. I was counting on him to be able to pick apart and trade sniper fire with the Thunderhawk after I chewed through the Awesome in another turn or two. I did do the death from above with the Horned Owl because it was basically on its last leg at this point, and it ends up getting rid of the Awesome on turn 3. So it soaked a lot of damage. It tanked for 3 rounds, which isn't terrible. But, I'm sorry, 4 rounds because it's still there. I thought the mud might make it fall over or have a penalty to a piloting check or something, but it did not. I'm pretty sure it dies this round because it's pretty much gutted. There goes my poor little Ryukin. The celerity's here. It's been in force withdrawal for a turn or 2. No biggie. We forgot that he actually has to move 1 hex toward the board edge and withdraw off the map. We didn't realize it at the time that it was in force withdrawal. That's another oops. It happens. Not a big deal. The Awesome is in force withdrawal. My Peregrine's in force withdrawal. Other than that, not really too much damage to write home about. Scooching along here because I'm trying not to make this video take forever. I jump the elementals, keep their TMM up, sit in the foliage, which counts as a forest for them, I'm pretty sure. The Oscout jumps, the Dragonfly follows, and That's how it's got to be every turn. I'm pretty sure I scooch the Stooping Hawk up and take some more shots, just a hex or two. That way I'm blocked line of fire from the Thunderhawk and the Black Knight, because this is my commander after all. And then unload into the Oscout. I need to get as much damage on this thing as possible. There we go. Shots on the Awesome. Shots from the Stooping Hawk and the Dragonfly onto the Oscout. The Phoenix Hawk does unfortunately get to jump in my rear arc. Not much I can do about that, but getting shots on the Oscout was worth it. There goes the Awesome. I lose the Peregrine. He falls from taking too much damage in a gyro hit and goes down and goes boom, because I already critted out his engine like 2 times before this. So no more Awesome, no more Peregrine, no more Ryukin for me. But here's melee. Not too much to write home about. Missed the kick on the Oscout. But I do believe, get a jump jet or two on this Oscout with a crit from the Stooping Hawk on the AC-10. Here comes the Shylone again. As you can tell, I haven't really mentioned the Shylone because it hasn't really done much all game. It does get 1 or 2 shots off on me, but that's about it. Most of the time it's off the map, floating around. Send my elementals over here. That way he has to move and get a bad TMM, or worse TMM, to shoot at me. These elementals are protected for now as I close the gap to start working on this Thunderhawk, because it's the only one that's actually taken damage between the 2 of them, or significant damage. So he jumps the Phoenix Hawk over here. The Oscout, I'm waiting for it to move before I jump my Dragonfly, delaying for as long as possible. And he scooches the Black Knight to trade fire with the laser elementals, which if I could, I would take 2 sets of flamers. Probably should have took machine gun elementals. I think they're cheaper than laser, but oh well. They're basically the same thing. Nothing to worry about, really. So he jumps the Oscout, I jump the Viper. That's going to happen every turn. He should have moved this Thunderhawk to force me to move the Viper, so that way he can jump away with the Oscout. So a bit of a misplay there, but not the worst, because now his Thunderhawk is in point blank range with my poor little Dragonfly. I take pot shots at the Phoenix Hawk, the only thing I have in my line of fire, other than the Shylone, which isn't worth anything, by the way. These princess controlled units do not count for that 75% of battle value destroyed. So lining up shots here. The Stooping Hawk gets some solid shots on the Phoenix Hawk. I end up taking out both of its arms, if I'm not mistaken, this turn. Left arm and right arm are both destroyed by damage. I do get another crit on to the Oscout. I'm pretty sure I crit some jump jets on it, but I lose one of my squads of elementals just through the sheer amount of damage that's coming at them from the Thunderhawk and the Black Knight. And the Dragonfly takes machine gun crit. Not too terrible. He jumps the Oscout, which has lost jump jets, as we can see, because it was here or here, and now it's only over here with the jump of 4. I jump for 5 with the Dragonfly because I have to be point blank to get decent shots on this thing, and I unload. I know this Dragonfly is going to die, but I need to do as much damage to this Oscout as I possibly can. It's in forced withdrawal at this point, and even up to now, I do not know whether or not putting the enemy commander in forced withdrawal and then it exiting the board counts as an objective win for defeating the commander, because the verbiage says defeat the enemy commander, not destroy. So we'll get a ruling on that. But it's already in forced withdrawal. I would like to destroy it just to be sure. So I jumped the elementals over to put more damage onto it. I could have jumped them in to get some heat on the Black Knight, or just wreck this Thunderhawk a little bit more. But this is the objective. As I've said before, we go for the objective. Phoenix Hawk's now in forced withdrawal because it's got no weapons, like 0 weapons. All its weapons are in the arm, and I blew both of his arms off, or well, not off, but destroyed him outright. So he's in forced withdrawal, and he's choosing to just jump off the map. This is the last turn where real action happens that's going to decide the match. I unload with the Dragonfly, needing 6s. And I don't think I hit more than like once or twice. Yeah, but machine gun on the Oscout, 999. Oh, I guess I need nines, and I whiff on most of them. And I take a ammo crit, and the Dragonfly's done. I mean, he blacks out. He's not dead, but he will be next turn because a Dragonfly that's not moving may as well be salvage. So the Stooping Hawk's over here protected. I take some pot shots at the Phoenix Hawk. Maybe I can destroy it, get some more battle value out of here. And it's safe right now. It is my commander, so I don't want to risk him. I jump him back over here. Maybe I can get an angle on this Oscout while protecting myself. Because I don't want to take 3 Gauss rifles to the face. I'm a little worried right now that the game will end before that Oscout gets off the map or before I can destroy it. Because I think that once I lose that Dragonfly, I'll be under 20%. In reality, because I think 20% victory condition is turned on, but in reality, my Stooping Hawk is worth 23%, even if it in its damage state right now. So he jumps his Oscout, I jump my elementals, I take more pot shots, nothing really happens. He gets the Oscout off the map next turn. My elementals don't survive another turn. I think they get Gauss rifled to death by the Thunderhawk. But now it's cat and mouse with the Stooping Hawk. I don't want to go out there, and he doesn't want to come over here because I'm not entirely sure why, but he doesn't want to chase me down because he's going to get bad target numbers, or I can jump for 5. He can't. So he's worried I might get rear shots, I'm assuming. But we have basically just jumped back and forth, trying to find an angle, trying to see if he'll move and get closer. He does move up here. I unload on him with the Stooping Hawk. He takes a couple of crits on that Black Knight and falls. He loses a Pulse Laser, loses a Heat Sink. He's only got like, I want to say 12 internal structure, but he doesn't have an Exile engine on that Black Knight. So it's not worth it. I have to win initiative and make him move first, and he just goes back to his little camping position here on the hill, and I take out his little track platoon with my Stooping Hawk. Nothing really special. And this is pretty much the end of the game. There's still like 2 turns left. I lose initiative for both of the last turns, and we just bounce back and forth between cover, blocking line of sight. So with that being said, it was a close match. Not really battle value wise. He got some good shots on me. He got rid of my Ryukin with a headshot, who was pretty much pristine outside of a few hits to the legs from the charge. So that was a boon for him. He got some good crits, like the crit on my my Dragonfly, so I lost my ER mediums on him real early in the match. Tactically, he played fine. He was a good opponent. He's a good player. I can tell by the way he's playing and the decisions he's making. But I think his deployment is where this match would have been a lot harder for me with my 3 mediums and 1 light and 2 sets of battle armor. If he would have kind of turtled up in one of the corners and made me come to him while he hid the Oscout or jumped it every turn. We look back at some of the earlier positioning. Let's go right about here. So the fact that he was split up between his big chunky boys where I could focus down this awesome, I think was not to his favor. If he would have had all 3 of these mechs bunched up sitting on the same hill, at least my elementals would not have lasted nearly as long as they did if he decided to get rid of them early, and I would not have gotten easy or free rear shots on the Awesome or the Thunderhawk when I did. So it's hard as the Intersphere player because you don't know where the clan player is going to go, but you can mitigate it to an extent by positioning on the hills or in the corners and staying clustered. As the clan player, this is rough because you're under battle value because they've got mechanized track platoon and whatever else they get for BSPs. Granted, they didn't really pull their battle value weight, but the onus is on you to get your units out of harm's way or to converge upon the enemy after they deploy. So it was back and forth. This could have gone either way, and I think he ended up winning just due to destroying more than 75% of my battle value. And if not, then if his Oscow exiting the map in forced withdrawal doesn't count as defeating the commander, then he definitely won. If it does, then it's a 1-point tie. Either way, this match was very hard fought, and I look forward to playing Whitworth again in the near future. Hopefully you guys get a breakdown of what moved where, and hopefully I explained why I moved where I did. Some of it should be obvious. If it's not, then by all means ask me why I made a particular move in the comments, or ask me why I didn't make a particular move in the comments. I'm not an elite player. I'm not, world champion or anything. So by all means, I'm probably making mistakes too. So hope everybody at least learned something, or at least found it interesting. Go ahead and let me know either in Discord or on YouTube. Well, thanks for watching, guys.